Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, counter-spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Orson Welles' The Lives of Harry Lime, the Third Man prequel, as it was originally broadcast October 15th, 1951. This episode is entitled Blue Bride.
Presenting Orson Welles as the Third Man. The Lives of Harry Lime. The fabulous stories of the immortal character originally created in the motion picture The Third Man, with zither music by Anton Karas.
Now, here's a little anecdote taking place in the city of Bordeaux. It has to do with a phase of my hectic career which was almost exclusively a chase. I was a big boy by then, but there's a school teacher in the story all the same. His name was Professor Saint-Pierre. He didn't mean any harm, but he caused me plenty before it was over.
And now, Orson Welles as Harry Lime, the Third Man in Blue Bride.
Now, this little cautionary tale took place a couple of years ago in the French port of Bordeaux. I'd taken lodgings above one of the choicest dives that the place has to offer. The proprietress was an enormous woman called affectionately by the sailors La Grosse Fifi, a formidable female if I ever saw one. I found the location a convenient base for certain of my business transactions. I'd circulated a rumor that I was writing a book about the waterfront. Unfortunately, Saint-Pierre got wind of it. Evidently, La Grosse Fifi mistook the little teacher for one of my clients and let him up. I was going over some accounts when there was a knock on my door. Who is it?
It is I, Professor Saint-Pierre from the lycée. I desire very much to speak with you.
Saint-Pierre? Who are you?
Please, it is of the utmost importance. I will not take up much of your time.
Okay. What is it?
Those papers on your desk. Notes for your book, no doubt.
Oh, yes. Matter of fact, they are. I'll just gather them up and put them away.
Oh, no, please. I do not mean to interrupt your work, mon cher Dr. Lime. I have long thought that some scholar should write a book on the waterfront of our beloved Bordeaux. Such a wealth of material, the mixture of dialects, the different racial strains, the songs and stories of the sailors. I cannot tell you how happy I am that someone like yourself has the time to devote to this project.
Well, that's very kind of you, I'm sure.
Dr. Lime, with all deference to a scholar like yourself, I must make a confession. I'm only a humble teacher, but for many years I have dreamed of doing just what you are engaged in.
Really?
I've wanted to write a book about the waterfront of Bordeaux.
Well, why don't you?
I have neither the time nor the money. All winter I must teach at the lycée. During the summer months I act as a tutor to make a little extra.
Oh, you do, yes.
I would like you to have the use of these notes of mine here. I have them in my briefcase. Many hundreds of pages. You see, language is my speciality, and I have noted down specimens of all the different dialects to be found here.
I see.
I would like you to have them here.
Well, I'm very indebted to you, Professor.
Professor Saint-Pierre. Here is my card.
Thank you. I'll return your notes when I finish with them. And now I hate to seem rude.
Of course, I understand. You are anxious to get on with your work. What is that noise? It seems to be coming from over our heads.
Sounds like someone on the roof. Making repairs, I guess.
It seems strange to be making repairs at night. Are you sure it is...
Yes, it's nothing to worry about, old man. Now, good night, Professor Saint-Pierre. You really must excuse me.
Yes, of course.
Yes.
There is just one more thing. I hesitate to mention it. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
The professor jumped out of the way just in time. The body of a man half fell, half jumped into the room, landing crumpled at our feet. Qu'est-ce que c'est?
Qu'est-ce que c'est? Who is this man?
It's one of the workmen around the place. I'm afraid he's been hurt.
Yes, there is blood on his head.
I think we should get a doctor. I wonder if you could...
Yes, a doctor, of course. I will go right away.
That's very, very good. I'll do what I can for him in the meantime. Thanks very much, old man. Good. Now, get up, you fool. You're not hurt. Raoul, you hear me?
When I ran, they shot it.
Are you hit?
No, but
just a cut from the glass. We'll fix it later. You live. Not that you deserve to. Fifi! Fifi, viens ici.
Que voulez-vous, monsieur?
Come up here.
Oui, chérie.
Raoul's in here. Had a little accident.
But how did he? Ah, the skylight. You will pay for the glass.
Yes, I'll pay for the glass.
He's dead?
No, he's not dead, only resting. Now, here's what I want you to do for me. You know that little man who just left here?
Oui, the little one.
And he's coming back in a few minutes, and you are not to let him in here. Do you understand?
Oui, monsieur, I understand.
Good.
If he tries to come up again, I will crack a bottle over his head.
Fifi, I adore you. All right, Raoul, now tell me what this is all about. Did anyone follow you?
Yes, but I lost them 6 blocks away. I was afraid of the streets, so I took to the roofs. I had to hide somewhere, so I came here.
You picked a fine time. What happened? Did you get into another fight? I told you, old man, any more brawling, and our deal is off.
This time it was no fight. Barras knows about us.
Barras? Commissar of Police. How could he know? Talk, you fool. Talk!
Please, monsieur, do not shake me, my head.
You'll be worse off if you don't tell me. How do you know Barras knows? Are you sure?
Oui, I'm sure. I passed 45,000 franc notes myself. We have so many. Oh, no, please. It's that little Marianne. She kept wanting me to buy her.
Idiot, I gave you orders that none of that money was to be used in France.
But for a man to carry that much money around and not to be able to use just a little, I never thought. And today the shopkeeper turned in an alarm, and before I knew it, I am being chased.
Listen, old man, another stunt like this, and the police won't have to chase you. Now get out. I'll call you when I want you. Go over and wash the blood off. Barras, the only man I really was scared of in the whole city of Bordeaux. Barras, the young, dynamic commissar of police. He had a reputation for tenacity and integrity, which made jobs like mine very far from easy. You see, I was in competition with the French government. We were both printing money. I was selling my currency to sailors and traders on the way to French West Africa, where chances of detection were much less. In a few days, I had an appointment with a trader on his way down there, which promised to be my biggest deal. But how much did this man Barras know? I had to find out. I made some inquiries. I can't understand how a girl like you can be satisfied to be just a maid. Why, with your looks and intelligence and personality, you should be on the stage.
Oh, on the stage?
On the stage.
No, I will tell you one thing, Harry. If I were on the stage, I would be better than she ever was. I never saw her, but to hear her talk sometimes, you would think she was greater than Yvonne Printemps.
Who's this?
Her. My mistress, of course. Madame Sophie Barras.
Is she an actress?
Well, she was before she married Monsieur Barras. She went by the name of Sophie Avant. But if you ask
How long have you worked for Madame Barras?
Only since she was married 2 months ago.
Only 2 months ago. Then she's still a bride.
Well, not a very happy one. Sometimes I do feel sorry for her. It is terrible.
Well, Pauline, what's terrible? Does he beat her?
No, he does nothing.
Oh.
All the time, it is work, work, work. That is what she said to him last night. I heard them as I was clearing the table.
What? That's all I ever hear.
Oh, I'm sorry, darling.
We never go anywhere together. Half the time, we do not even dine together. Is this the way you treat your bride? Sometimes I'm not even sure that you love me.
No, Sophie, this is not fair. Would I have married you if I did not love you?
You see, you are raising your voice to me already.
But I am only trying to tell you that I must have loved you or I wouldn't have...
Aha, you speak in the past. This means you no longer love me in the present.
No, but I do, my little one. Come here.
Georges.
Now, do you believe me?
Mais oui, Georges. Georges?
Yes, my sweet.
Perhaps we could go somewhere this evening. Somewhere with music and just a few people, and then walk home slowly together, just as we used to walk last spring in Paris.
Oh, I wish we could, but I have to go over some reports.
Now you make me angry.
Oh.
You think you can set my mind at ease with only one kiss?
No, but...
A kiss that does not take up more than a few seconds of your official time.
No, Sophie, you've got to try to understand. There are some things which I cannot entrust to anyone else, and this is one of them. A vicious ring of counterfeiters has evidently descended on Bordeaux. We almost caught a man today, but he disappeared down near the waterfront. But next time we will not fail. Meantime, I must try to trace the bills to their source.
This is all very well, but it seems to me that you are more concerned with your work than you are with your poor wife.
Oh, you refuse to understand.
You also refuse to understand. You even refuse to tell the truth. You say you love me and you want to be with me, and then you...
Oh, I don't want to hear anymore. I'm going to the office.
Oh, Georges.
See how it is, Harry. I hope you never treat me like this.
Don't worry about that, Jolie.
You do not find this a depressing marriage?
No, I can't say that I do. In fact, I find it quite inspiring. You have a good ear, Pauline, old girl. I could almost hear them talking.
Well, listening is the only thing that makes it interesting to be a maid.
You know, you're a very bright girl, even brighter than I thought. Supposing I put you and your packages into a cab from here. Taxi!
Oh, but maids do not ride in cabs.
Oh, they do when they have money. Here, close your warm little hand around this.
Oh, Harry, so much.
Not as much as you deserve. Au revoir, my dear. Keep those pink little ears open, and tomorrow, if you have some information for me, I'll give each one of those pink little ears a little kiss.
Oh, Harry.
October 19th, 1951, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox.
You know, a lot of times you have to choose between something high quality or something that saves you money. But if you can get both, why not? Especially when it comes to healthcare. And that's MediShare. You get both. The typical family saves $500 a month switching to MediShare. And that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch too. The customer satisfaction rate for MediShare is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. It's because MediShare works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge PPO network, so yeah, really, you could save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. If you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. Here is the number you need. Call 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, more of The Lives of Harry Lime, October 15th, 1951.
Back at Le Trois Rois, Fifi told me that a gentleman was waiting in the back room. This proved to be the venerable blackguard who went by the aristocratic name of Captain Dominique de Chateaubriand. Captain is engaged in trade with the natives of French West Africa, and it was on him that I hoped to unload a large amount of my counterfeit stock.
Ah, Monsieur Lime. Enchanté de vous voir.
Enchanté. What can I do for you, Captain?
As you know, I am dealing with some natives in the interior. Some missionaries have told them the value of their merchandise, which I used to buy for next to nothing. Now they want cash in return for their goods and ivory. If your money is as good as I hear it is, they will be quite happy with it. Until they try to spend it, of course. But by that time, I will be well out of the way.
Clever man.
You agree with me, Monsieur Lime?
Entirely. I shall be happy to be of service.
Bon. What is your denomination?
Well, that sounds like a personal question.
I mean, how large are the counterfeit bills?
5,000 franc notes.
May I see one, please?
Sure. I have one here.
Ooh, very good. Good enough for the purpose, anyway.
How many will you need?
I will need at least 50,000 of these notes.
That's a lot of money, Captain. It's more than I have with me, in fact, but I can get the rest from my source in Paris if you can wait a week or so.
Yes, I can wait. If you will guarantee to have it here within a week, and at a regular rate.
Agreed.
Très bien, monsieur. Au revoir, monsieur.
Au revoir, Captain. With this big deal in the offing, it became necessary to throw Barras off the trail for at least a week or so. The next morning, I found out from my little friend Pauline that Madame Barras spent most of her lonely afternoons sitting by herself in a small cafe known as La Vert Rouge. That afternoon, I happened to be sitting in La Vert Rouge when she arrived. So I went over to a table and tipped my hat. Pardon, but are you not Madame Sophie Avant of the stage?
Why, yes, monsieur, I am. But how did you know my name?
I've often admired your work. Yes. But alas, I never had the courage to come backstage and meet you, much as I wanted to.
Well, this is marvelous. To find someone who actually remembers my name and face.
Well, it's not a face to forget easily, Mademoiselle Avant.
I am Madame now, Monsieur. Madame Parra.
I beg your pardon, I did not know.
Oh, that's quite all right. Won't you sit down?
Well, just a minute, yes, if I'm not intruding.
Now, tell me, what shows did you see me in?
First, let me ask you a question, if you'll forgive me. What are you doing in Bordeaux? You, whom I always imagine surrounded by the bright lights and all the gaiety of Paris.
I came here with my husband. This is his home.
Oh, I see.
He is a commissaire of police of Bordeaux.
You don't say. Must be a very interesting job.
For him it is interesting. For me it is dull.
Oh, I don't quite follow.
I have no right to talk this way to a stranger.
But don't forget that I am a stranger who has known you and been interested in you for a long, long time.
Oh, it is not fair to burden you with my troubles, but today I am, how you say, blue.
Oh, a blue bride, eh? Well, if I can help in any way.
Oh, monsieur, I'm so unhappy. I do not know what to do or where to turn.
Are you sure your husband loves you, madame?
Oh, yes, I'm sure of that. And I know I love him, but unless something is done right away, the marriage will not last.
Does it mean enough to you to try to save it?
Oh, yes.
Well, you're young and beautiful. You should be able to lure any man away from his duty.
But my husband is not any man, monsieur.
Nonsense. All you lack is confidence. You need to feel more sure of yourself. And believe me, madame, you have every right to.
But what can I do?
It seems to me that the only hope for both of you is to get away from Bordeaux for a while. Away from everything that reminds him of his work. Surely he has competent assistants to whom he could turn things over for at least a week or so.
I don't see how I can get him to come away. We have even had to postpone our honeymoon last spring because he was so busy.
Well, then there's your answer. A honeymoon trip. And the sooner the better.
But I know he won't leave his work, especially right now.
He will if you force the issue once and for all. And if his marriage means anything to him.
What do you mean, force the issue?
I mean, suppose you packed your bags. We're ready to leave, with or without him. Tell him if there's no honeymoon, you're on your way back to Paris for good. In a day or so, you and your husband will be enjoying a nice little cruise somewhere, believe me.
That sounds wonderful. How I wish it could come true.
Well, it can come true, if only you won't lose your courage.
But I don't really want to leave him, even if he will not do what I want.
But you've got to make him believe that you would actually leave.
Do you think I can?
My dear Sophia, you are an actress, are you not?
Of course I am.
Of course you
I'll
are.
do it. I'll do it this very evening. Oh, monsieur, I can't tell you how grateful I am to you.
No, please.
And now I must go home and make preparations.
Look out, it started to rain again. Do you have an umbrella?
Oh, no, I ran out of the house without one.
Here, take mine.
Oh, no, I couldn't.
I insist.
Oh, thank you, monsieur. You are a true friend. Au revoir.
Au revoir, madame. And I wish you both much happiness. My plans were going well. The next morning, Pauline told me that Monsieur and Madame Barra had suddenly decided to take a little trip. They were leaving the next day for a week or so. Believe me, I breathed a sigh of relief. The day after their scheduled departure on their overdue honeymoon, I got a wire from Paris. I was to pick up a shipment of money from a carrier who'd arrive shortly at the airport. So I met the carrier, picked up the suitcase full of phony 5,000-franc notes, and hailed a cab. Sailed past. I tried another, no luck. I started to walk back toward the city. I didn't know at the time that in a black police limousine not far away, a conversation something like this was going on.
Oh, Georges, I'm so happy. Soon we'll really be alone together.
I must confess, I am not sorry you forced me into this position. I'm happy myself. This little vacation will be so good for us both.
Oh, there he is.
There who is?
It is he, the kind gentleman from the cafe. I don't even know his name, but we owe everything to him.
But I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, please, George, let's stop. I must speak to him for just a moment.
Oh, you mean the man with the suitcase?
Yes.
But he's going in the other direction.
Slowly, take a minute. We have time. Oh, please, George, it means so much to me. Have the driver turn around and follow him.
Oh, I don't know what feminine madness this is, but today I can refuse you nothing.
Oh, it's not madness. I just want to say a few words with him and return a piece of his property. Pauline put it among your things by mistake.
All right. Duclos, turn around and follow the man with the suitcase.
Call him. Maybe he'll stop.
Hey, you with the suitcase, stop!
Oh, he's only walking faster. Oh, can't we get through this traffic somehow?
The sooner the better. Duclos, turn on the siren.
When I heard the voice shouting at me to stop, I could only think of getting away, naturally. And then when I heard the siren, that was the end. I turned a corner quickly and started to run. After all, when one is carrying a fortune and counterfeit bills in a police car with a siren is close behind, I cut across a little park. To get to the other side in time, I might be able to throw them off. But just then, I ran smack into a little man in a white suit. The heavy bag I was carrying threw me off balance for a minute, long enough for him to grab me by the lapels. With a broad smile, I saw to my dismay that it was the ever-helpful Professor St. Pierre.
Ah, Dr. Lime, how fortunate that I should run into you.
Yes,
Although it was really you who ran into me, huh? That is a joke.
Yes, a very funny joke. I'm in a hurry. I'm awfully sorry.
But I want to ask you about that poor workman who fell through the roof the other night. How is he? What about his family? If I could be of any financial help to them, or if there is anything I can do for you.
You can get out of my way.
Dr. Lime, I am surprised at you. I know you are a busy man, but...
I pushed him roughly out of my way and ran on. But valuable seconds had been lost. I reached the other side of the parking. I called, "Taxi! Taxi!" A long black car rounded the corner. I recognized it in time and started to run again. I ran up the steps of a large building. I realized it was the public library and decided to seek refuge there, but the weight I was carrying made me trip on one of the stone steps, and I lost my balance, and the suitcase went flying, skinned my knee, and my palms of my hands were all bruised. An old man insisted on helping me to my feet, fussing over me. The suitcase had rolled down the steps. The old man chased it. I couldn't wait. The only thing in my mind at the moment was escape. I have an aversion to French jails. I ran up to the big brass doors at the top of the steps.
And from October 19th, 1951, Orson Welles' The Lives of Harry Lime. We'll hear the conclusion coming up in just a few moments here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, the conclusion of The Lives of Harry Lime, starring Orson Welles, October 15th, 1951.
Just as I reached the entrance, a uniformed guard was stretching a metal grill work across it. He was most polite.
Sorry, monsieur, but library hours are over for today. You will have to wait until tomorrow.
I ran down the steps again. In a cold sweat, I hurried into the street, heard the shriek of brakes, and realized I'd been narrowly missed by a truck. I hurried on, ran smack into the arms of a traffic policeman. The gendarme held my arm firmly and stopped the truck to bawl out the driver.
What's the matter with you? Didn't you see this man? You almost killed him.
But officer,
His signals were against you, not against him. You're a menace to pedestrians. This poor man here. Let me see your license.
Please, officer, it's quite all right.
Begging your pardon, monsieur, but I am here to protect your rights. These fellows must be taught a lesson.
So I was forced to stand there with a policeman in the middle of the busy street while he upbraided the driver. The siren grew closer and closer. When the gendarme finally released me and I reached the other side of the street, another whistle blew.
Hey, hold that man, Monsieur Barra.
In a flash, I felt the gendarme's hand on my arm again, and we were standing beside the big black police car.
Well, sir, you gave us a merry chase, hmm? What was all the hurry?
Why did you run away, monsieur?
You?
Yes, it is I, whom you advised in the cafe, you remember?
Oh.
I saw you from the car and I wanted to say thank you and give you this, your umbrella.
My umbrella?
Yes, you lent it to me that day.
Oh.
Now perhaps you will explain your anxiety to avoid us, hmm?
Well, this is very embarrassing, really, especially since this is a police car. You see, it was the siren. I have a phobia about sirens. Ever since I was a child and had to run from a burning house, I've had this same unreasoning fear. No matter how much I analyze it, it's something I just can't control. I have to run. Yes, I feel like a fool, but that's the way it is. Every time there's a fire in the neighborhood, I have one of these same running fits. All sirens sound alike to me, you see.
I see.
How unfortunate.
What is this? What happens here?
Professor St. Pierre.
I saw you from the other side of the street, and I came over to see what was the matter.
It's very
Bonjour,
kind of you.
Commissaire Barra.
Bonjour, Saint-Pierre. Do you know this man?
Indeed, I do. This is Dr. Lime, the scholar who is here in Bordeaux doing research for a book.
Oh, yes, that's right, yes.
An eccentric scholar.
Yes, eccentric
All
scholar.
scholars
Yes,
are
yes.
eccentric.
Well, perhaps you are right.
This was a stroke of luck. For once, the helpful professor really helped. He continued to talk to Barra about me until the policeman's suspicions abated. I was finally able to say my goodbyes and start walking away from the group when Sophie Barra called after me.
Monsieur, you had a suitcase.
I must have dropped it.
Oh, well, wait. We will help you to find it.
Oh, no, don't bother. I'll get it.
And And now, Harry Lime.
By this time, I was running again. I glanced back over my shoulder just in time to see the old man gesticulating excitedly over the suitcase and holding up a fat packet of franc notes. I can imagine that Barras' fury when he realized that he let the prize slip through his fingers was equaled only by Sophie's when she realized the identity of her friendly family counselor. I wonder whether she ever got her honeymoon. I heard the siren again in a few seconds, but this time I made good my head start. And as the sun sank over the sea, I bade farewell to beautiful Bordeaux, to my beautiful little waterfront business, and to the beautiful Blue Bride.
October 19th, 1951, Orson Welles, The Lives of Harry Lime on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, Part 5 of the 9-part Yours Truly Johnny Dollar story, The Phantom Chase Matter, as it was broadcast October 19th, 1956.
From Hollywood, it's time now for...
Johnny Dollar.
Lieutenant Lefebvre, New Orleans Police, Johnny. How's that when you call?
Lieutenant, I think I've got a new lead on the whereabouts of Tom Chase.
I could use a new lead. Let me have it.
That room he leased under the name of Tom James. Remember that charred paper we found in the wastebasket?
Sure. Stuff he tried to burn after he took off in a hurry the night of Freddie Quintana's murder.
We could make out 2 numbers written on one scrap of paper.
12 and 23. Haven't been able to figure out what they mean, though.
Neither had I, until I happened to look at the harbor news in the newspaper. Yeah. You think those numbers could refer to a ship sailing? Pier 23 at 12 o'clock, maybe?
Could be, Johnny. Sure could be. I go to work on it. Maybe I have something by the time you get here.
Lieutenant, I'll be there in 10 minutes.
Tonight and every weekday night, Bob Bailey in the transcribed adventures of the man with the action-packed expense account, America's fabulous freelance insurance investigator.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. From Special Investigator Johnny Dollar, location New Orleans, to the Home Office Universal Adjustment Bureau, Hartford, Connecticut. Assignment, The Phantom Chase Matter. Expense account continued. Item 16, $1.50, cab from my hotel to police headquarters in the office of Detective Lieutenant Lefebvre.
I got some of my boys working on ship sailings, Johnny. Trouble is, we're not sure what date we want and whether the 12 means noon or midnight. Pier 23 is a pretty busy place. There's been several departures in the last few days.
Freddie Quintana was killed 3 nights ago, about 10:30 at night. Could be the departure time was midnight that same night.
Could be, and that's a line we're taking. But, of course, that's assuming that Tom Chase, alias Tom James, was the one who murdered Freddie Quintana.
Oh, everything points that way, Lieutenant. Look, Tom Chase was the junior partner in the New York investment firm of Everson and Chase. He embezzled $120,000, jumped his bail, and disappeared.
Embezzler isn't necessarily a killer, Johnny. Matter of fact, the two types are usually quite different.
True enough. But the big kicker in this deal is why Tom Chase went sour in the first place. A man who changed as completely as he did in one direction might go all the way.
It's happened before, of course.
His wife Lola and his senior partner, George Everson, were pretty shocked at the thought Tom had embezzled the money. They couldn't understand why a man like he would do what he did. Neither could I, until I found out it was a woman who rented a room for him here in New Orleans.
How did Miss Chase take that news?
Oh, pretty hard.
She's still here in New Orleans?
No, I talked her into returning to New York. I just didn't want to see her get hurt anymore.
She probably shouldn't have come down here in the first place.
Well, that's what I told her. But there was nothing she could do here. But what it boiled down to was she just wanted one more look at her husband. You see, after he was arrested in New York, he refused to make a statement, wouldn't even talk to her about it. Refused to see her at all.
So she thought if she could see him again, he might have some kind of explanation.
Yeah, but as it turned out, she was just asking for another kick in the face. How can a man explain another woman?
That's a good question. Personally, I hope I never have to answer one like it.
Lefebvre, when I see what happens sometimes in the marriages I run up against, I'm glad I'm single.
The trouble is, you and I have tangled with the wrong kind of people most of the time.
You can say that again. Freddie Quintana sure fit into that category.
That name brings up a problem, Johnny. We're basing our belief that Chase skipped town and that those numbers on the scrap of paper mean a ship sailing. We're basing all that on the assumption that Chase killed Quintana.
Right.
You must remember that Quintana was a bad boy. There are plenty of people who'd like nothing better than knock him off.
But why at that particular moment? Oh, Lieutenant, the timing adds up to Chase. After I traced him here to New Orleans, Quintana contacted me, said he could deliver Chase for a price. He showed me a sample of Chase's handwriting he'd swiped from his room. It was genuine, all right. Then Quintana winds up dead in an alley before he can deliver Chase. How else can it add up?
Look, Johnny, I'm just mentioning possibilities. You're right. Chase is the probability. Yeah. The fare... What? Let me get that down. All right, I have it. Thanks.
They locate the ship?
Yeah. Caribbean Star. Left at midnight the night of Quintana's murder.
From Pier 23?
Right. Destination Trinidad by way of Havana and Haiti. And there is a Tom James on that passenger list. Your hunch was a good one.
Let's see. If I could get a plane out of here this morning, I might be able to intercept the ship at Haiti. Hey, could you cable the authorities there and request them to hold Chase if I don't make it in time?
Sure, glad to. Fair. Just a minute. Johnny, you expecting a call from New York?
Oh, yeah. I put one in to George Everson, Chase's senior partner, a little while ago.
Well, here it is.
Good, thanks. Hello?
This is George Everson in New York. They told me at your hotel that you were at police headquarters.
You were wondering why Chase embezzled the money from your firm, Mr. Everson.
I still can't understand it. Mr. Dollar, it just...
Well, maybe this'll help. We found out that his hideout here in New Orleans was arranged for him by a woman.
A woman? Oh, no.
And, according to the rental agent, quite a woman.
Oh, good Lord. To think... Well, does Lola know of this?
Yes, I talked her into returning to New York.
Good. She should never have gone down in the first place. Any leads on Chase's present whereabouts?
Yeah, just turned one up. It looks like he's traveling under the name of Tom James on a ship to Trinidad.
Trinidad?
Right. But if my luck holds, he won't get farther than Haiti. Expense account item 17, $134.40. Transportation from New Orleans to Port-au-Prince, Haiti. The flight only took a few hours, but to me the plane seemed as slow as a truck. But then, as we came in over the harbor at Port-au-Prince, I could see it was going to be a dead heat. The boat was just entering the harbor. By the time I got to the dock, they were just putting the gangway over. Nobody had come ashore yet. I had Chase's stateroom number from the passenger list. Okay. Empty. Real empty. Oh, well.
What's the trouble here? What's wrong?
Oh, purser.
Was that you just broke in the door?
Yeah, here's my card.
Insurance investigator. But really, Mr. Dollar, the door...
Don't worry. I'll take care of it. Right now, I'm more interested in the man who used to be behind the door.
What?
He was going under the name of Tom James.
Oh, yes, Mr. James.
Well, where is he?
I'm afraid I wouldn't know, Mr.
Now, look,
Dollar.
this is no time for games, Percy.
But I don't know where he is.
I came aboard just as the gangway went down. Nobody could have come ashore.
Do you mean here at Port-au-Prince?
Wait a minute. Are you trying to say he got off at some other port?
Our first stop.
Havana? That'd be 2 days ago.
That's right, Mr. Dollar.
Oh, well, that's just great. I bust my neck to meet the boat for nothing. Look, so he got off in Havana. You have any idea where he was heading?
None whatsoever.
Well, that just about does it.
He did ask me where the airline's office in Havana was.
Airline's office. Thanks. Expense account item 18, $8.40. Long-distance call to the Havana Police Department. They put me through to a Lieutenant Escobar.
Si, Senor Dollar?
Hey, look, Lieutenant Escobar, I'm an insurance investigator from the United States.
The United States? But the operator said you are in Haiti.
Well, yeah, that's right. You see, well, let that go for a moment. I'm after a fugitive, an embezzler named Tom Chase, also known as Tom James.
Chase? James?
Yes, I wonder if you'd check the airlines at Havana and see where he bought a ticket to, then call me collect. I thought he was going to Trinidad, so I came as far as Haiti, where I found out here he got off in Havana.
Trinidad? Haiti, Havana? Senor, if you will permit me, you sound a little confused.
If I do, senor, it's because I am. There was nothing I could do after that except sit in Port-au-Prince and twiddle my thumbs. I wasn't at all sure I'd be hearing from Lieutenant Escobar again, or if I did, whether he'd have a lead for me. But 2 hours later, he called back, and he did.
About your friend, Senor James, or Senor Chase, I'm not sure which.
Let's not start that routine again, Lieutenant. James will do.
See, 2 days ago, the Senor James bought a plane ticket here in Havana.
Where to?
Barbados.
Barbados?
See,
the British West Indies.
Yeah, I know where it is. Oh, brother, he really gets around.
Now, let me see if I have this thing straight, senor. You thought he was going to Trinidad, so you went to Haiti.
Well...
But instead he came to Havana, so he went to Barbados.
Well, you see...
No, senor, I am sorry, but it still does not make sense.
Don't worry about it, Lieutenant Escobar. It does to me. Just accept my thanks for the lead. Someday I'll sit down and write you a letter about it. Item 19, $143, transportation and incidentals from Haiti to Barbados. From the air, it looked like a beautiful spot. Pastel-colored houses with pink roofs, clean, sandy beaches, gentle waves. Yeah, I could see Chase's point in coming here. A good place to get away from it all, particularly with $120,000 to keep you company. And more particularly when what you're trying to get away from is a couple of assorted charges, like embezzlement and murder. But if I thought that finding Tom Chase, alias Tom James, would be a cinch once I got to Barbados, I was sadly mistaken. It was a bigger island than I'd realized, about 170 square miles. And Bridgetown was quite a fair-sized city. I checked into the hotel, then made the rounds of all the others, inquiring about Chase. But I got nowhere. Item 20, $1, 2 drinks, while I brooded in the hotel bar over the fact the trail had gotten cold again. But by the time I got that through my head, I saw the prettiest sight I'd encountered all day. A girl. And unless I was very much mistaken, she was heading for my table.
You're Johnny Dollar?
Sure am.
I'd like to talk to you.
Sit down.
Thank you.
Cigarette?
Please. You're looking for somebody, aren't you, Mr. Dollar?
Am I? Anybody in particular?
Yes. Let's call him Tom James.
Oh? What about him?
I know where he is.
Who are you?
Connie.
Connie who?
Connie's enough.
So you're the one, huh?
What do you mean?
Well, I knew Chase wasn't traveling alone.
Yeah, I'm the one.
One thing I don't get.
What?
Why you're doing this, if you're Chase's girlfriend. You want out, maybe?
Yeah, I want out.
So you'll deliver Chase to me. What do you want for it?
Money enough to get back to the States?
That might be arranged. Just one thing.
What is it?
The last person who tried to turn Chase over to me got himself killed back in New Orleans. You better be real careful.
I will. Now, look. There's a bar down near the waterfront called the Trade Winds. Know it?
I can find it.
Be there about 10 tonight. Chase will be with me.
Okay.
2 things, Mr. Dollar.
What are they?
Don't let on to him how you found him.
Okay, what else?
Bring the money.
Connie left and I sat there basking in the welcome warmth of a trail that had suddenly heated up again. At 9:45, I went down to the waterfront. I spotted the Trade Winds bar down the street a block or so. I waited. Pretty soon I saw Connie go inside. I started for the entrance. Then, suddenly, I realized I was being followed. Somebody crossed the street in the shadows. I whirled and headed for him fast. It took him by surprise. He ducked down an alley, then into a warehouse on a pier. I eased up to the door. It was dark inside, but I went in. Then, too late, out of the corner of my eye, I spotted somebody beside me in the dark. Something hard hit me over the right ear. Knocked me to my knees. Yeah, I'd finally caught up with Chase. The hard way.
Now, here's our star to tell you about the next exciting episode of this story.
Next, a small fishing boat, a deserted island, and a man waiting there for me. A man with a gun. Join us, won't you? Yours truly, Johnny Dollar.
Yours truly, Johnny Dollar, starring Bob Bailey, is transcribed in Hollywood. Written by Robert Reif, it is produced and directed by Jack Johnstone. Heard in our cast were Virginia Gregg, Michael Ann Barrett, Lawrence Dobkin, Forrest Lewis, Peter Leeds, Barney Phillips, Tony Barrett, and Victor Perrin. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Be sure to join us on Monday night for another exciting episode of this story on Yours truly, Johnny Dollar. Roy Rowan speaking.
From October 19th, 1956, yours truly, Johnny Dollar, here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for making us a part of your day. If you enjoy yours truly, Johnny Dollar, my friend Ted has the complete collection of yours truly, Johnny Dollar, available on cassette, CD, or flash drive for your computer. Contact him at radiomemories.com. That's radiomemories.com. If you miss a day on this station, you do not have to miss a single episode of Classic Radio Theater. You can find them all at my webpage, which is at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. You can stream our shows on demand. You can find a link of podcast sites where our shows are available for download. You can also let's see, what else can you do there? You can also learn about building a classic radio collection of your own. You can also find a link to all of our social media sites, and you can also contact me, and you can also buy me a copy. That buy me a coffee money goes toward us acquiring additional classic radio theater episodes here. So if you like what we do and like for us to see more of it, well, there you go, classicradio.stream. And also, please thank this radio station and support their advertisers. It is their kindness and courtesy that allows us to be with you each and every time we roll around here on your favorite station. And please tell your friends. The great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox on your favorite station.